surprisingly long history of electric cars. What are you aware of the fact that electric automobiles have been around for approximately 2 centuries? Are you surprised by this? They have even launched a legendary sports vehicle brand far before Tesla. You won't guess which one it is. Celebrated a decade-long heyday, attracted followers like Thomas Edison, and predates gasoline-powered automobiles. All of these things have occurred within that time period. In honor of World Electric Vehicle Day, we will be delving into the surprisingly extensive history of electric vehicles. We invite you to join us. Our story starts in the year 1828, when a Hungarian inventor by the name of Ányos Jedlik was working in his office. It is important to note that Ányos did not construct an electric car in the traditional sense. Nevertheless, he did create an electromagnetic device that he incorporated into a miniature model car that he intentionally constructed. A direct current DC motor, sometimes known as a stator, which sounds complicated, rotor and commutator, are the components that make up the gadget that he built, which is still operational to this day. A Scottish inventor by the name of Robert Anderson was the one who came up with the idea for the first full-sized electric vehicle, which was developed a little bit later, around the year 1832. Although it would not have been considered a car by today's standards, Robert's electric-powered carriage, which was equipped with power cells that would not require recharging, would have been a significant departure from the horse-drawn carriages that were common during that time period. In the years that followed Robert's carriage, rapid advancements were made, and in the year 1835, Thomas Davenport presented a miniature locomotive that was driven by the very first direct current electric motor in the United States. The significance of this one lies in the fact that Davenport's locomotive was the very first practically applicable electric vehicle ever dreamed of, in contrast to the earlier inventions, which were either models or miniature carriages. With the exception of Gaston planned his creation of the rechargeable lead-acid storage battery in 1859 and another model electric car, things on the front of electric vehicles went a little quiet when Davenport's locomotive entered the picture. Right up till the year 1884, in the near future, 2 significant events are going to take place that will propel the electric automobile into the mainstream and propel it to an unbelievable level of popularity. He was driving his electric automobile, Thomas Parker. The first of these events took place in 1884, when Thomas Parker designed and constructed the first electric production car, shown above, in London. He utilized his own high-capacity rechargeable batteries to power the vehicle. This was followed by William Morrison, who brought a very basic electric wagon to the United States of America between the years 1889 and 1891. Although it was nothing more than another electrified carriage, it was a huge success despite its lack of sophistication. This accomplishment brought electric vehicles into the mainstream and made them the preferred mode of transportation due to the fact that they are quiet, require no effort to operate, and do not produce any emissions. To put it another way, they were so popular that between the years 1900 and 1912, 1/3 of all cars that were driven on highways in the United States were powered by electricity. You can imagine that the success of that endeavor drew the attention of a great number of renowned individuals, with Thomas Edison being among the most influential of them all. Edison was so enthusiastic about electric automobiles that he referred to them as the superior mode of transportation. He also launched an investigation into more efficient methods of constructing electric batteries almost immediately. In passing, I would like to bring to your attention the fact that Ferdinand Porsche began the Porsche brand during this time period by introducing an electric vehicle. It is true that Ferdinand Porsche designed and built the Egerlohner C2 Phaeton, right, in the year 1898. This automobile was driven by hub-mounted motors that were responsible for providing power to the wheels. Following its debut, Mr. Porsche began working on his electric wheel hub motor. In the year 1900, he then fitted it to a new car and supplemented it with a conventional engine, thereby creating the first hybrid vehicle in the history of the world. The Lohner Porsche Mix was the name of this vehicle. Incredible, isn't it? It is possible that you initially believed that the Porsche Taycan and Porsche's range of hybrid vehicles have a considerably shorter history than they actually do. In 1908, Henry Ford presented the world with the Ford Model T, which is widely recognized as the first cheap automobile in the world. This event marked the beginning of the heyday of electric cars, which lasted until 1908. The Ford Model T was a big success, and it finally marked the end of the popularity of electric cars. It was easier to refill than other conventional automobiles, and it was priced competitively. Henry Ford had succeeded in selling 15 million units of the Ford Model T by the year 1927, which was only 19 years after the vehicle was first introduced to the public. Mercedes-Benz Lohner. Following the footsteps of the Ford Model T, the electric car had a period of relative silence. Following that, during the 1960s and 1970s, the cost of gasoline skyrocketed to an all-time high. maintaining the possibility that electric alternatives will emerge in the future. After that, in order to increase the attraction of the vehicle even more, NASA dispatched people to the moon. What kind of vehicle did those astronauts drive? The obvious choice is an electric buggy. As a result of this perfect storm, what has been sometimes referred to as the second generation of electric cars came into existence. The development of new technologies, the enhancement of batteries, and the production of electric vehicles by automobile manufacturers all began at the same time. The problem, which was also one of the primary reasons why electric cars did not take off again, was that the mainstream and governments did not support the technology. It should come as no surprise that oil continued to be worth its weight in gold, which meant that it had a large number of people who defended it. On the other hand, in contrast to the scenario with the Ford Model T, this setback did not extinguish the following of the electric car, and development continued anyway. The Moon Buggy Mini Electric Bicycle. In 1973, British chemist Stanley Whittingham achieved a significant advancement in the field of battery technology by developing the world's first rechargeable lithium-ion batteries. These are the same batteries that are utilized in electronic devices such as mobile phones and electric vehicles of today. The term founding father of lithium-ion batteries is commonly used to refer to Whittingham, who is widely considered to be one of the most significant characters in the entirety of this narrative. At the precise moment when things were beginning to sound extremely hopeful for the electric car, gas prices started to decline and interest in electric cars once again began to dwindle. Electric cars just couldn't seem to get a break. Everything goes back to normal for our electrified pals beginning in 1979 and continuing onward. Then, in 1997, Toyota introduced the Toyota Prius, which was the world's first hybrid vehicle to be manufactured in mass quantities. They helped to launch the electric revolution once again and opened the path for firms like Tesla to exist and for cars like the Nissan Leaf to be unveiled. Despite the fact that naysayers continue to criticize it, it was crucial in all of these things. When environmental circumstances were taken into consideration, the cult following developed into a more popular interest, which ultimately led to our current situation. The Lamborghini Terzo Millennium 5. You now have an understanding of the history of the electric car, which is somewhat unexpectedly interesting. There is one thing that we can't stop wondering about, and that is what the future of electric automobiles would be like if the Ford Model T hadn't been such a huge success. There was only 100 years that passed between the first flight of the Wright Flyer and the first flight of the Boeing 747, which is a plane that is famous for being able to fit the whole first flight of the Wright brothers inside of itself. Just imagine what the current state of battery technology would be like if research hadn't stopped all those years ago. If Lamborghini's Terzo Millennia were a real car, would it be possible to buy one? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the latest EV trends, make sure to hit that subscribe button, share this video with friends, and leave a comment below with your thoughts. Don't miss out on future updates, subscribe now and stay connected with all the latest automotive insights.